The standard today is to create worksheets using spreadsheet commands, functions, and formulas. The objective is, by the end of the period, the student will be able to define, and write a basic function. Function is a predefined formula in Excel. There are many different categories of functions. Here we have mathematical functions, statistical functions, and date-time functions. When looking at functions, the different kinds of categories of functions, you note there's a whole lot more than just those three that we just talked about or just looked at on the PowerPoint. We have date, time, financial, lookup and reference, text, logical, and all of these have a ton of functions within them. When we look at the Insert Function dialog box, we have a couple of different pieces that we can look at. For one thing, we have here in this box where we can type in a brief description of what we're trying to do. You don't have to necessarily know the name of the function that you want to use. You just need to know what you want it to do. If, on the other hand, you know what category it falls under, you can also look in a particular category. Once you type in what you're looking for, then you click on Go, and down here it'll say Select a Function, and you just pick the function you want. On step 3, you'll read the definition, that's this definition right here, and you can look at the arguments. This is the function name, these are the arguments. That's what Excel needs to be able to do the function. A function has 3 different parts. You have your equal sign, your function name, and your arguments. Sometimes your arguments will be arranged. Other times, your arguments will be separate cells within your spreadsheet. Let's take a look at the power function. What the power function does is it allows you to get a exponent. So here you would have your power, your number, and your power. So that the return would be a result of a number raised to that power. So if you had something like you wanted the power of 10 to the power of 12, it would then return for you the actual function. You can also type in the name of the function if you know what it is. And once you've got the function typed in and you hit Tab to get it to pull up, you then have a screen tip that describes the function with its arguments. So for here you'd have average and then your number, and then if you have other numbers elsewhere that you need to average into this number, you could put that in there. Now we're going to use the Excel Insert Function dialog box to find functions for the following slides. While you do this, if you have a starter, you're going to write the formula on your starter. This is the Function Basics spreadsheet that can be found in the Assignment Files folder on in your eChalk main page. In order to figure out the grade for this particular student, for Johnny Bobbins, we need to be able to do something with these grades that he's got here. That's something that we need to do is to average these grades. So we're going to click on the FX at Insert Function dialog box, and we're going to type in average. Now we're going to make sure this is the all, and we're going to say Go. Here is our average here. That's the one we want to use. And so we click on OK, and that brings up the function arguments box. And we need to be able to somehow tell it what arguments we want to put into the parentheses. So we're going to click on this top box right here, this button right here, and we're going to highlight B3 through F3, and we're going to click on this button right here to put it back. We're then going to click on OK. This is the function that should be written into your number 1 for today, and that is equals average B3 through F3. You have your equal sign, your function name, and your arguments. You are then going to copy this formula down so you're averaging all the grades. For problem 2, we're going to go ahead and put the equals average. I'm going to type in AVER, and notice that there is average in our drop down list right there. Since average is already highlighted, I'm going to hit the Tab key, which will allow me to then enter my arguments and hit enter. I'm going to go ahead and copy this formula down, function down, and we'll come over here. What we're looking for here is minimum. And so we're going to come back up here and we're going to get our insert function dialog box. Minimum is the same thing as lowest. We want the lowest grade for assignment 1. So we're type in lowest and hit go. Now the first thing it brings up is min A. Well, min A is going to return the smallest value in a set of value, but it does not ignore logical values in text. That means it doesn't ignore words. All right. Well, we want one that will ignore the words. So we're going to click on min. And this one ignores logical values in text. And so we're going to say, okay, that's what we want to do. Now here it says the range that it's looking at is B3 through B8. And I'm going to say that's not really what I want. I actually only want B3 through B7. And I'm going to click on enter on my keyboard. And here it tells me it's 79. And I'm going to say, okay, that's what I want. And click on OK. You can highlight and transfer it all the way over if you want or not. It's not important. This is what should be written down for problem 2 or for number 2. Problem 3. For problem 3, we're going to, instead of doing the insert function dialog box, we're just going to type in equals min because we know that's what the function is. Notice that as I typed it in, it highlights min here, and here is our definition again. So if you kind of have an idea of what function you're looking for, but you're not exactly sure which function you need for it, you can type in the first couple of letters and then look for it. Since that's what I want, I'm going to click on Tab, and I want to highlight my range, and I'm going to hit Enter. Well, now we want to know who's got the highest grade for that assignment. Well, if equals min is the minimum, then we're going to try equals max for the minimum. And notice that it says returns the largest value in a set of values, ignoring the logical values in text. We're going to click on Tab. That is the one we want. And we're going to highlight the values that we want, and we're going to hit Enter. This is your answer to number 3. For problem 4, again, we're going to go ahead and do the max. I'm going to type in M, but there is max right there. So I'm going to hit the downward arrow and hit Tab, and highlight my values again, and then hit Enter. Now medium. Going on the same logic we used for minimum and maximum, I'm going to click on Enter and type in ME, and there's median right there. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Tab and highlight my range and hit Enter. And this is your answer for problem 4. For problem 5, we're going to go ahead and do equals median again. Highlight our range and hit Enter. 88 is our median. For date, we're going to click on D1 and we're going to go to Insert Function. This time, instead of typing in a description we want here, we're going to go to or select category. We're going to click on the downward arrow and select date and time out of the drop-down box. Notice that you have a lot of different functions that you can go through here, and they're all listed in alphabetical order from A to Y. For date, this is your function, and these are your arguments, year, month, day. Well, I can just go ahead and type that in without using a function for that, so I don't see the point in using that. If you click on hour, notice it says hour, but the argument that you need is a serial number. Well, if you don't know what that serial number is, that's pretty useless as well. Going on down, we can go with now, which is now with no arguments, and it returns the current date and time. Well, that's a good one, but maybe there's a better one. Equals today will return the current date. Well, that sounds good enough for me, so I'm going to click on OK, and it says returns the current date and the formatted date. This function takes no arguments, and that's good, so I'm going to click on OK, and there's our current date. For problem 6, we're going to try, instead of the equals today, we're going to actually do the equals now this time. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Tab and Enter. Because it fills up the whole entire the results of now fills up the whole entire cell, you get all these pound signs, which are also called hash marks. In order to make it work, I'm going to go ahead and merge D1 and E1, and notice how pretty that is. The last thing that we need to do is round. We want to round our grade to the closest number. So I'm going to click on H3. I'm going to click on the Insert Function dialog box. I'm going to type in round, and I'm going to click on Go. Now there's several different rounds that we can use. Round down, round up, M round. Let's just go with plain old vanilla round. And we're going to click on OK. Now this is one of those that uses different kinds of arguments. And so we're going to look at number, and we want it to round the grade. And we're going to click on OK. The number of digits is the number of digits after the decimal point that we want it to round to. And we don't want any after the decimal point. So we're going to click on 0. If you used a negative number, it would actually start rounding to the left of the decimal point. So like 89 would be 90, but 84 would be 80. But this time we're just going to go with 0 and say OK. And it gives us a 90, which is exactly what we want. And we're going to go ahead and copy that down, and we are done. That is how you enter functions in and how you use functions in Excel. Thank you and have a nice day.